everyone. Today we're here to talk about the Washington Semester Program with 3 University of Arizona students who either are doing the program now or who did the program in a previous semester. I'd like to introduce these ladies. Sarah Slaughter is here with us, Kayla Renner, and Rebecca Salido. So thanks so much for coming. I'll just pose this question and then you all can just take turns answering it. Tell us about your major at University of Arizona and why you decided that Washington Semester Program was something you wanted to do.
I am a political science major at the University of Arizona with a sociology minor, and I decided to do the Washington Semester Program just because I was looking for internship opportunities in DC, and this was a great way to combine curriculum with an internship possibility, and it just seemed like a great program that would help me in my internship search, and I wouldn't be left to do it independently.
Kayla?
So my major at the University of Arizona is political science with an emphasis in international relations. I also have another major in French and a minor in communication. And I really wanted to do the Washington Semester Program mainly because I want to improve myself both personally and professionally. So I want to gain that opportunity where I can have this experience that can help me within my future career, but also help me gain, some insights as a person, improve my adaptability, improve my creativity, and see what kind of independence I can build in a different city and through a different program that might be a little bit different from a normal semester at the University of Arizona.
How about you, Rebecca?
I am a senior here, majoring in English and pre-law and minoring in Spanish and Italian. I decided to do the Washington Semester Program, I think just the same as these 2 ladies. I wanted to network. I heard nothing but amazing things about the program. I'm also interested in going to law school in DC, so I think I wanted to see if I would like it, kind of build that communication and see how I could do on my own.
I was an English major myself, Rebecca, and we're always interested in getting more English majors to come to DC for the program. It's not something that a lot of English majors think about doing. We tend to get more political science majors, but we are gunning for English majors now. Communication are always in demand. So why don't I start with you? What internship are you doing? And tell us about the projects you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. I attended the Washington Semester Program last spring, so spring 2020, and I worked at the American Bar Association Commission on Law and Aging. There I was able to do, an array of things. I was able to improve my writing. I was sent to the Supreme Court, to Senate meetings, to House meetings. I got to sit down on big projects that my committee was working on. I was able to work with also different committees in my office. So I was interested in immigration, and my supervisor was able to kind of get me those ties and kind of working on initiatives that the ABA is doing for immigration.
And how about you, Kayla?
My internship is with the Department of Commerce, so I specifically work with the Advocacy Center within the International Trade Administration, and we essentially work with companies advocating for them for foreign procurement. So we kind of work to help them within the American industry and help trade development, and overall this includes me running a lot of due diligence reports, doing a lot of background research on companies, attending a lot of meetings and calls, and help strategize kind of different ways that they can enter these foreign procurements and how we can, develop their trade essentially. And I also have another internship with the French American Chamber of Commerce. So this is more of a marketing internship. So this is where I kind of help the organization work on their marketing strategies, especially within COVID. It's been rather difficult in order for them to, gain insight on how they should promote their festivities and their normal festivals that we would have year round.
That sounds like some pretty high-level stuff. Did you have to go through a lot of training before you started working on these projects?
Yes. There's a long process. For example, with the Department of Commerce, I have to, work with a remote computer, so then I have to download a VPN. I have to go through a whole bunch of security. Also, within the French American Chamber of Commerce, I have to go to the embassy every week. So this requires, going through security every time, getting a pass. And overall, just having to go through a lot of security measures, but it's interesting because, I get to see, what my professional career might look like through that.
And Sarah, what about you? Where are you doing your internship?
So I'm doing my internship at a nonprofit organization called the National Employment Lawyers Association, and it is essentially an advocacy group for workers' rights and employees' rights. They focus a lot on forced arbitration issues and discrimination cases, but I work specifically in the public policy office in DC, so a lot of that work is actually following judicial nominations and tracking current judicial nominations. A big story was the Amy Coney Barrett nomination, of course, to the Supreme Court, and Neela ran a large opposition campaign against that, so I got to help a lot with that. And with, the Trump administration's court packing, we've done a lot of research and writing about that.
You've been here at kind of an exciting time, haven't you?
Yes, it's been definitely very busy and exciting, and it seems like every day there was a new story and something new to talk about. It was definitely very exciting, and I felt like I was in the room where it happened, so to speak, so it was fun.
For sure. Not that DC is ever boring, but I think we've had more than we could really absorb lately. Let's go back to you, Rebecca. You had an interesting experience since you were here last spring. Mm-hmm. So you sort of started out in person and then went to virtual. Could you tell us how that went and how if that did change your experience, in what ways?
Yeah, I mean, the turnaround time was absolutely insane. Like 48 hours of we're at school, we're having a great time, to get back home on a plane, everything remote. And since I'm in Arizona, I had to also adjust to East Coast time. But my internship as well as my AU classes were amazing. I think everyone was like, okay, this is what we need to do, and we're going to do it and go. And none of my classes, I didn't really feel, even though I wasn't in DC, I think my teachers did an amazing job of kind of still bringing speakers into the classroom and doing presentations. And it still wasn't, even though we're not really in the classroom, we are in DC, we were still able to do that virtually. It was amazing. My internship, same, I think that was a little stressful trying to change everything, just because I also wasn't really in the office as much in my internship either. I was getting moved around DC a lot, so I think that was a big adjustment, and then the time zone as well. But I think the transition was amazing. I didn't feel like, I wasn't in DC, but I didn't really feel like my experience was taken away from me, I guess to say.
That's great. Yeah, I think you all had 2 days that we just went off for 2 days and then back to school.
Yeah, back to normal. So it was a little stressful, but I think everyone, the faculty at AU, as well as my internship, did an amazing job to make that transition smooth.
And Kayla, what modality are you working in this semester at your 2 internships?
Basically, I have a hybrid. I am in person as well as online. So most of the government buildings are closed now, but I am actually still in DC. So I'm getting kind of that nice area where I can still do some of my work online, but at the same time, I can still explore DC and kind of see what the city environment is like. And it's just amazing being in DC, but it doesn't need to be there in order for me to enjoy my internships. So being in a political science major, it's kind of a hub for, wanting to be surrounded by politics in DC. But overall, with my Department of Commerce internship, it's all online, and I feel like I'm definitely, getting way exceeding my expectations of any kind of internship I could have received. I mean, I'm constantly on, actual calls, with clients and, with different countries from, Mexico, Peru to Serbia. And so, I'm still getting that opportunity where, I'm getting this foreign experience, I'm just in DC. And so it's amazing that, even though this part is online, that I can still kind of get that same experience and see, what my future career could be like. And at the same time, I go to the embassy every week for the French American Chamber of Commerce. And so that's just really neat, being able to, go there every week. And even though, not very many people are there because it's essentially closed, but I'm still getting that experience of, what an embassy is like, how it's run, what the steps are in order to get a pass to be there, and just different steps like that. So at the same time, I'm really enjoying my internships that are online. But also I get to explore the city, kind of see what, my environment will be like in the future.
Are you getting to use your French in your Chamber of Commerce internship?
Yes, I definitely am. I'm tested every day. It's definitely, it's a little rough sometimes, but it's a learning experience and we're only improving from here.
What about you, Sarah? What mode is your internship in?
So I'm doing both my internship and courses completely online. I'm actually home in Los Angeles, so I also have to deal with that time difference thing, which hasn't really come into effect at all. My internship supervisor works with me very well about our time differences. I'm home online, but I still feel like I'm a part of the American University community, and most of the students that I'm in classes with are staying at home and not in DC, so we kind of all have that shared experience of doing everything remote, and it still feels like we're learning a lot, and it doesn't feel like our experience is hindered in any way. We're still developing career skills, networking skills. It's been great.
Have you been able to develop any relationships with your cohort, with your classmates, even though you're all in different locations?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, at my internship, the other intern is also Washington semester program, so we've become really close. We FaceTime and do our writing assignments together, and it's just been great to have someone else to talk to go through this experience with.
That's great to hear. I think that's the thing that we as administrators have worried about most of all, is whether students would be able to find each other and build relationships while they do their internships virtually. So that's really good to hear. Let's go back to Rebecca. How do you see your Washington semester program experience impacting your career?
Oh my gosh, beyond. So actually, I came back home, and this semester I ended up working in my spring internship through the summer, and then through a connection at my internship, I got an internship at a law firm that I'm currently working at right now here. I also just went to 2 interviews in Boston about a month ago, again through the contacts I made in DC. Just every opportunity, it's been unreal, and everyone that looks at my resume says, wow. I mean, I got to DC and I had my resume was a mess, and my cover letters, and just every little skill that I learned has just shown.
Wow, so you've been able to take that first experience and sort of turn it into the next experience?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's crazy. It's all about who you network, and and I'm so thankful I came and I did it, and I think things would be very different if I didn't do so.
Okay, what about you, Kayla? How do you see this impacting your career?
Again, this is completely being revolutionary to my career opportunities, because I mean, the contacts and the networking that I've been able to make are incredible. Just even if you just say to your advisor, hey, I'm interested in French, automatically, she's like, oh, I can set you up this connection in Paris. Oh, you can have this interview with this foreign service officer. If you just mention something like that, they can immediately give you so many opportunities and connections that have been so important for me. For example, I've been given fellowship opportunities. Given that I would never have found out about. And I've also been told about, different ways and different pathways in order for me to get to my ultimate career, and just ways that you wouldn't have known about before you do this experience. So you have to really experience it from the professional side in order to really gain an understanding of, what your future could be. But at the same time, if you don't experience it, you don't know if it is for you. So I could have done this experience, I could have said, hey, maybe I don't want to work in the private sector, I want to mainly be public. And it's just experiencing it is what's really going to tell you what you want to do in your future. And so for me, this is totally this is exactly what I want to do. And so now I want to move forward. I want to gain some more internships inside of the public sector. I want to see what other opportunities I can gain. And with all my connections I've built here, that they've even given me opportunities for after I graduate. So I'm just really excited for that. And at the same time, the classes here have been so incredible in supporting our learning with our internships. So with LinkedIn, which I didn't even have before this program, or even building our resumes and our cover letters. Again, they just really have made our image so much more than it was beforehand. And so it's like, it's not just, it's building you essentially.
Thank you. And Sarah, how do you see this fitting into your career once you graduate?
So I think the biggest lesson that I've learned from the Washington semester program is definitely the career skills that come around it. Like Kayla was saying, we have this internship class that goes hand in hand with our internship. They help us communicate with our supervisor, and they just really aid us in how to become a professional. You know, before the Washington semester program, like my cover letters and resumes, they just weren't up to par with how it should be looking, especially with other students in DC. And, you know, unfortunately, life is a bit of a competition, and we have to present ourselves in the best way possible. And with all of the connections that American University has allowed us to have has really helped me, especially with our seminar classes. Actually, we have a ton of guest speakers, and they have really opened my mind to the different career paths that are in DC. You know, being an outsider, you kind of have a specific idea of what DC is. You know, you have your Senate and House internships, and then different private sector internships. You don't really see all the different intersections of government and advocacy and policymaking. So it's really opened my eyes and just allowed a plethora of different opportunities.
That's great. So we'll stick with you for a moment, Sarah. For somebody contemplating applying to the program, what advice would you give them?
Just do it. I would say, you know, you can't go wrong with this program. Just do it. Don't be afraid of, you know, oh, I'm not getting maybe the same experience as if it were all in person. It's still extremely beneficial, and I know it'll just help my career so much in the future.
And if someone had decided they were going to just do it and were starting an internship, what piece of advice would you give them? What do you know now that you didn't know when you started?
I would say, you know, ask for help in the beginning. I think when it was summer when I was creating my resume and cover letter, and I didn't feel like I was established at American University yet, so I was a little bit reluctant to, you know, ask for help. I really waited until we had to show our professors our resume and cover letters and get advice from that way. But I think the earlier you start, the better. And the staff at the American University they're there to help you. So they're not going to bite. I would just say as soon as you get your acceptance letter, I would start preparing for your internship search, because it will only help you and only create more opportunities.
Kayla, what about you? What would you say to someone considering the program?
I would say 100% that you should do this. Like, you will look back and you'll say you will not believe how much you have grown. I was a different person 4 months ago. Like, it is shocking to me just to see how much you grow, and it's just incredible just how much you learn, not only, you know, about yourself, but also like your career and, you know, what you want to pursue for the rest of your life. And so it's just kind of that same thing, is just you need to just do it. If you have any, you know, setbacks, saying like, oh, I'm not going to get the same experience, I don't know if this is going to work for me, I know I'm nervous about, you know, going abroad if you're going to be in DC, then just realize that this is a new experience. You need to be patient with yourself. You need to realize that, hey, like, life is full of new opportunities. And again, it's a really, you know, a competitive field. And so if you want to stand out, if you want to actually show that you're taking that initiative, especially, you know, during this COVID time, rather than, you know, just sitting back and relaxing, then this is like a great way to show employers or future employers what you can do in that kind of initiative that you have.
And what about you, Rebecca?
Yeah, I think going off what she said, I couldn't agree more. I always tell my friends at home, like, I grew more in my 3.5 months I did in DC than I did ever living here in Tucson. So I think you learn a lot about yourself, about what you want. I think you see, you know, you're in the world, you're in the professional world. That's not an experience I had really gotten before. So for me, that was huge. I realized what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, and how I was going to get there. I thought it was very motivating, and just go for it. I know it's a scary process, and I think it can be overwhelming. I had never really lived in a city, so for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get on the metro, and that all freaked me out. But after I went, I can't wait till I get to go back again. So just do it.
Well, thank you so much for coming and talking about your experience with us. From meeting the three of you, all I have to say is we need more University of Arizona students to come to the Washington semester program. I have been so impressed and just delighted to spend time with you both of the times that we have met and talked about this. So thank you so much for doing it, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.